Okay, hello everybody and good morning. Hopefully you can all see me and hear me okay. What we're going to do is we're just going to wait a couple more minutes just to allow everybody to get logged on. Apologies for the slight delay in starting this morning with a few technical difficulties with this, but hopefully we'll get up and running shortly. So we're just going to give it a couple of more minutes just to allow everybody to get logged in, and then we will get started with today's presentation. Obviously, if you do have any questions during the presentation, please do feel free to type it into the Q&A session, and then I will look to answer any questions at the end. Okay, thank you very much. Right. Okay, I think that's everybody logged in now. So what I'll do is I'll move across, I'll skip across and get started with the presentation. As I say, if anybody does have any questions, please feel free to type it into the Q&A session and I will look to answer those live at the end of the presentation. Okay, thank you very much.
Okay, hello everybody and welcome to this webinar where we are going to be looking at the Autodesk Construction Cloud and how we can get greater collaboration with our design team using the Autodesk BIM Collaborate Pro subscription, and also how we can use the Greatech Power Pack for Revit to help improve that collaboration amongst the design team. My name is Matthew Smith. I am the Technical Manager here at Greatech. I am a Chartered Architectural Technologist by trade with 15 years industry experience working in a variety of roles from technician, BIM coordinator up to a project lead role and a BIM manager role. Since joining Greatech, I have become an Autodesk certified professional and trainer as well as a BIM consultant. So to start with, we'll just have a quick introduction as to what the Autodesk Construction Cloud is. Well, over the past few years, Autodesk took their BIM 360 platform and continued to invest within that platform, allowing meaningful integrations with other applications and third parties where they purchased a number of companies to help improve their BIM 360 product to create the Autodesk Construction Cloud so that they can then have a unified platform where all people involved in project design have one collaborative environment for us to work in. The Autodesk Construction Cloud comes in 4 main subscriptions. We have Autodesk Docs, which is the main subscription that underpins all of the other platforms. Within Autodesk Docs, it is here that we do our main document management. From there, we have the BIM Collaborate subscription, which allows us to do our design collaboration, our automated clash detection on top of our document management. From there, we have the Autodesk Takeoff subscription, which allows me to quantify all of the elements within my project, allowing me to produce a quantity schedule for costing purposes. From there, we have the Autodesk Build subscription, which is for our site teams or site operatives, so that once the design has been agreed amongst the design team, then we can share that information to site, and then we can use the build subscription to help with the project management, to help manage the costs of the project, and just help deal with the on-site forms or documentation that we need to produce to help with the site management of the project. So for this webinar, we are going to be looking at the Autodesk BIM Collaborate subscription. So what does BIM Collaborate do? Well, it empowers all BIM managers and the design team to work collaboratively together, allowing the design, collaboration and coordination to take place within our project and our design models, all under the unified common data environment. The BIM Collaborate and BIM Collaborate Pro obviously allows us to centrally manage all of our data within the unified platform. We can make decisions and share feedback, provide insights around our project, and obviously do automatic clash detection. So the BIM Collaborate Pro is what allows us to do our work sharing within the Autodesk products. So if we are wanting to have a central model and work share within Revit, then we can work share that model into our ACC common data environment, and then obviously we can have all of the other design disciplines, including our civil engineer and any of our plant design specialists, allowing them to collaborate and work share their models with us, so that we have one unified model or federated model that we can all work off, review and make sure that everything is coordinated. So that is what the Autodesk Construction Cloud can do for us as a business. From there, we then have the Greytech Power Pack for Revit. Now, the Greytech Power Pack for Revit is an additional add-in or plugin, and this can help improve our model efficiency and also help improve our collaboration. There are 4 main reasons as to why people adopt the Power Pack. The first one is that we have a wide range of commands that can, as I say, help to boost productivity. We can extend the interoperability to help create a unified BIM workflow. We can then take advantage of a large set of tools within the Power Pack to help improve the management and the control of our Revit projects and the data, and also have the ability to monitor time spent working within our model. And then finally, we can have greater improvements around the management of the Revit project files and the Revit library. Okay, so the first step in this process that we are going to be looking at is, first of all, us work sharing our Revit model to our ACC project environment. So what I have here is my Revit model that I have produced. You can see I have all of the relevant views and the relevant drawing sheets that I have created within this project. Now, the correct, or the proposed order that this should be done is that when we set up the project to begin with, before we do the majority of the modeling and the setup of the file, we want to come to the Collaborate tab and we want to collaborate our project. Now, the normal process would be within your network. This would allow us to work share our model into our local server. But obviously, because we have the Collaborate Pro subscription, I am now collaborating within the cloud, and here I have a selection of the projects that I'm involved in, of which we can pick and choose which projects we want to access. From there, we can then access the folder structure that is available within our project. And so now I am collaborating my model into my work in progress area using the current ISO 19650 file naming convention. Now, the reason that I have done this is because within the folder that I am work sharing to, I have what we call a naming enforcement set on the folder, which means any documentation, whether it be models or drawings, that enters this folder needs to conform to that naming convention. And so these are one of the things that you would set up within your document management section and your folder management prior to collaborating our project. And so now that I have done all of that, we are just waiting for the model to set up the work sharing, uploading it into the cloud, and then cache that model. And so now that I have collaborated my model with my construction cloud project, the next thing that we want to look at doing is creating our work sets. Now, work sets are used when we have multiple people working on a project and we are work sharing like we are now. We want to create a work set so that we can put the elements under those work sets, because then it can help us with the management of that. If we didn't adopt work sets, then there would be delays and some slight problems around people wanting to work on elements and them not being able to because somebody has already taken ownership. So we create the work sets almost as like a layer. Again, when we are creating work sets, we want to define a naming convention so that it is easy to understand and easy to break down. And so now that I have created my work sets, what I would then do is come to any of the model elements that has already been created. We would simply select those elements and apply them to that work set. So here you can see I am now selecting my external walls and I'm going to apply them to my external walls work set. This then means that within my design team I can almost divide my project into packages, assign somebody the external walls package, somebody the internal walls package, and we can break our project down like so. And then by using this work set, this would help with the collaborative nature of work sharing within our Revit model. And so now that we have created the work sets, we have applied the elements, we want to synchronize our model so that everybody else who has taken a copy of this model will see those changes updated. And then this is publishing or pushing this data up into our construction cloud project environment. So there we go. Now that that is synced with those changes, if I just come and open up my project, here I am within my document management section. I'm now going to navigate my way to where the models are. Again, you can see that this folder with a little tick has a name and enforcement setup, which is why my file is named appropriately. And then what it does is it will then fill up the attributes with all of that data. And so now that you can see that I have synced to central, this model is now available for me to view within my ACC platform, allowing our managers or people who do not have access to Revit to explore the design and work on the model accordingly. And so that is the first step. Now that we have work shared our model into the cloud, what we would now do is that we would continue doing our project work, producing drawings, updating the model, providing the information we need to. And so then once we have produced all of the information, we then want to come to the Collaborate tab and the Publish Settings, because it is here that we would create a package of information that we are wanting to publish up to our ACC project. And so what you can see here is I have created a package set, and then now I can access all of the sheets within my drawing model. In this case it's a GA pack, general arrangement pack, that I'm producing, so I've selected all of the relevant drawings for that. And so now that I have created my pack and selected my drawings, of which it is also worth noting that when you are publishing to the cloud, you also want to select a 3D view with your pack so that it can then publish the latest 3D view up into ACC. And so now I've come to my management section, I've accessed the project via the ACC plugin, and I'm now publishing my model with those latest updates, including the drawings and the 3D view that would then be issuing that information up into our ACC project. And so now as this processes, what this will do is that this would update within my construction cloud project, and then if there is any of our design team that have subscribed to that folder, then they will get a notification about that update. So again, it means that this process is informing our project leads that an update to the model has been pushed into the cloud for them to look and view and comment on if necessary. And so now you can see that this model has become version 3 as I have published an update, and from there I can obviously come in, and once this model finishes processing, I would see the 3D view of my model with the latest updates, and also the drawings that I would want to be reviewed by my project lead for approval, so that we can then go down the process of formally issuing this out to our other external design team or the main contractor or the customer. but at the minute this is all within our work in progress, so this is for us as an internal design team to check the latest information and do our own review process within here. So now that we have work shared our model to our ACC project environment, what we're now going to go through is we're just going to run through the design collaboration workflow that we can use within our ACC project environment. So you can see here is my model within my work in progress design folder. And so this model has obviously been work shared into this folder, and so now what I want to do is I want to submit this file for review by my project lead so that he can check the model to make sure that it is okay for issuing out to the rest of the project team. And so the process for this is that I would simply select the model, come to the top here, and I would submit this for review. And so what I have here is an approval workflow that I have created, and what it will do is it will take this Revit model and copy it to my coordination folder so that other design teams can then access that Revit model. At the minute, nobody can access my Revit model or view this file because it is within the architectural work in progress area. And so now that I've selected the workflow, I can notify reviewers, I can notify other people within my company about this review process starting. Again, I can do it via roles or companies. And what that will do is that will send an email notification to those people. Well, now if I come to the review section, you can see here is my review. I can now start this process as a project lead to check that the model is okay to be issued out to the wider project or design team. And so now I can come into the model. Here I can see its version number that it is at. And here I can view the 3D design. I can do all of the normal functionality within this viewer that allows me to raise design issues if I do spot a problem. I can get the project data and check the information, and I can also check the 2D sheets. If I'm happy with the file, then here I can select the review status to be approved or rejected if I'm unhappy with the file, and I can add further comments if I wish. Well, given that I'm happy with this model, I have submitted this review, and this has now closed that out. And so what this has done, it has taken a copy of that model and moved it into my collaborative folder. Now it is in here that we will then be or from here we will be using the design collaboration module to formally issue this Revit model out to the wider project team. At the minute, everything that we have seen, the review workflow or the viewing of the models, was only available to those within the architectural design team. We are now at the point where we are issuing or sharing our information out to the other lead design consultants or any of the specialist designers. And so under the design collaboration tool, what you can see here is we have a swim lane which indicates the time frame for the architectural design model. And so you can see here that it is registered in the swim lane that the architects have pushed a model into the coordination folder. And so now what I want to look at doing is creating a package of information that I am going to share to my wider team. And so what I can do is I can now simply select the Revit model. I can select any sets that I have created. So if you remember when we created the GA set earlier, I could select that package set to be shared out using the design collaboration module. And so now that I have selected the set and selected the information that I want to share, then if I come and look at my swim lane, then what it will show is it will show me starting to share this package. So even if I cancel out of this function now and just shut it down or end for the day, I can come back again and it will still have this package and information set ready for me to share, and it will indicate it on the time on the swim lane. Well, I'm happy with the information. I'm now going to share this package out to my wider design team. And again, with the share process, obviously everybody will get an email notification. Again, I can put a title around the package name and a description as to what it's for. And then I am sharing this with my design team. And there we go. Now, if I come back to my swim lane, then what you will see is that that icon has now changed from a hollow dashed circle to a filled in circle. The filled in squares within the design collaboration and swim lane indicate a model has been published. The dashed hollow circle indicates that a package is in the process of being shared, and a filled circle is where the package has been shared. And so now what this has done is you can look in the folder structure here. I've come to the shared folder location, and that model now sits there for people to review and look at. You know, essentially it has been shared now to the wider design team. And so this is what the design collaboration module does, is it allows us to track the sharing of that information. Well, now I can take my architectural hat off and put my structural hat on, and here you can see, as a structural engineer on the swim lanes, I can see that the architect has shared a package of information. What I can now do is I can inspect this model. If there's been multiple issues of that model, I can compare those different versions to pick out the design changes that have occurred. Well, if I'm happy with that design and I've checked the model and everything is a-okay, then I can consume that model. And what that has now done is it has taken a copy of that model and placed it within my structural folder under the consumed folder. And so now any of my design technicians who are using Revit will have access to this folder, and they would be able to go in and link this file into my design model, trusting that this information that I have received from the architect is the latest and up-to-date model, because they have formally issued it through the design collaboration module. And so this is what we can do to help improve the collaboration, is by using this module we can see if we have missed an issue date, what the latest model is, when it was issued. We can then check to see if the model has been issued in line with the exchange information requirements that have been set within this project. And so this is what the design collaboration module does, is it just helps us tracking of those Revit models that are being shared. Well, now that I've shown you the process and workflow around using ACC in the design collaboration, I just want to show you how we set this up, because there are certain differences that we can do with where we want those folders and models to sit within our overall project folder structure. And so here you can see I'm in my docs environment again, and what you can see is that under the structures folder I have a consumed folder set up. And what has happened is in my setup this will occur for all of the teams that I create. From there you will see that I have created a shared folder. So I've broken this down like this because obviously I wanted to have my lead design disciplines, my architecture, my structures and my MEP for their folder where they can push their models or drawing files or any information that they want to share or use as part of the coordination. From there, what I'm first of all going to do is set up the approval workflow that will take a copy of my model from my work in progress and push it through to the shared. Now, when we are setting up a workflow, there are multiple steps that we can include. For this exercise, I'm just doing a one-step approval workflow. And so what I'm doing is I'm creating this workflow for the civil engineer. I obviously give this workflow a name. I can then select the members and users that can initiate this workflow. And when we are building up our ACC project, it is always worthwhile to try and use roles where possible, because this can help with our overall ACC project template. And so now that I have selected the roles that can initiate it, I now want to select the members that can approve this model. So this might be, our, as I say, our project leads, our BIM managers and things like that. And so with the initiator and the reviewer set up, I can obviously set a time limit by when I want a response from the approver, and then I can come down and I can choose the review statuses that I want. We can have approved, rejected, or approved with comments. From there, with this workflow, what I'm saying is that once this Revit model has been approved, I want you to take a copy from my work in progress area and place it within my coordination area, so that then other disciplines can have access to that Revit model. So you can see I have now taken a copy of that. In addition to this, if we want, we can have certain attribute values updated as this model passes through the review workflow. But for this exercise, I'm just simply copying the model. So there we go. I have now created my workflow that will take the model from my work in progress design area and push it into my coordination folder, where I can then start to use the design collaboration module to then formally share that information out. So what I'm going to do now is I'll come to the design collaboration module, because I'm now going to set up my civil engineer team and set up their folder structure and locations to push the models. So you can see what I've done is I've come to the settings under the design collaboration. Here you can see is my shared folder that everybody will have access to and can see the Revit models. And so now I'm going to create my team, my civil engineer, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to select an existing folder and select that folder that I have placed under my coordination section. So what this means again is that any design models that are consumed by the civil engineer will enter that folder. And so now that I've created that team, you can now see we have that new row on our swim lane. So again, as the civil engineer runs through that workflow, as what I showed earlier, then that information will start to appear on the swim lane. Now this is just one method or process in the way that you can set your folders up. There is flexibility in how you want to do that. This is a discussion that you would have internally or with the main contractor or with the customer about the process around doing this. But you can see that I have my shared area where the review workflow pushes my models into. From there, I will use the design collaboration module to formally share that, and then any disciplines that review the model, when they consume it, it can place it back into their own discipline folder for them to access. If we wanted to, we could push it all under the shared folder and have the consumed folder within that shared area as well. There is flexibility in how you want to do that. But hopefully you can see how easy it is to set up our shared areas and our teams for the design collaboration. And so now that we have done the design collaboration using ACC, what I want to look at now is how we can use the Greytech Power Pack to further improve that collaboration. So what you can see here is back in my Revit model that again I've collaborated or work shared into my ACC environment. I have created a door schedule, and under the Power Pack the tool that we're going to use here is the Link to Excel tool. So you can see I have my door schedule in my Revit model with all of the key parameter information filled out. And what I want to do is I now want to share this schedule with my specialist door designer or door subcontract team, or just share it with somebody else and have them review and update the information where necessary. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to come to the Link to Excel tool. I am going to add a new link, and what this will do is it will detect all of the schedules that are within the Revit model. It automatically detects the schedule that I have open, the one that I wish to export. However, if I want, I can select multiple schedules that I want to export. If I want, I can export everything out from the entire project. Well, given that I just want to export this one schedule, I can click OK. And now within this Edit Link dialog box, I can see all of the available parameters that I may wish to include within my export, or I can remove parameters out of the Revit schedule that I don't want to export. From there, I can pick the folder location for where this file is to be exported. And again, if we're using the Autodesk Construction Cloud, then we can use the desktop connector to push that exported file directly up into ACC. And so now that I've set that up, I can click Export, and I can click on this link to view the Excel file. And so now here is my Excel document that I can run through and update. So as a specialist designer, I can update the information. I can choose different door types if I feel that the one that's been specified isn't appropriate. I can then update the instant information. All of the columns that you see grayed out are type parameters, which will update when we choose the different type of door. However, this handle and plate one is an instant parameter, which then so it allows me to just very easily update that information. And so once I have done these updates, then I would simply save the Excel file. I can then close the file down, and then back in Revit I can simply import this data back into the platform, which in turn, if you watch these fields, it will update those data parameters, which in turn can update the Revit model. And so you can see that this process of the link to Excel means that I can have other people within the design team help affect my overall design model without them even accessing Revit. And so in the case where we're using the ACC environment, then as I said, using the desktop connector, this schedule would have been pushed directly up into my ACC platform. Well, now within here, look, you can see here's the file. Here it is at version 1. I can now simply click to access this file, and I can view the information. Now, one of the wonderful things that we can do in here is that as well as viewing it, we can actually edit this Excel schedule, which means again, if I am a specialist designer or somebody that wants to update the information, then I can very easily come into this Excel file and update the data where necessary. So you can see now I'm just simply updating this information, and as I do, you'll notice that this information gets saved. From here I can go back to view mode, given that I have made those changes, and then from here I can now come out of this schedule and go back into my main docs platform. So what I'll do is I'll come up to here and just go to return. And what this does is this refreshes the page, so it's tracking that the Excel schedule has been updated. Here you can see it now says version 2, and then obviously that information gets changed and updated accordingly. So if it syncs, so what I'll do is if I shut this file down, then here you can see that this is now at version 2, so I can then look to see who updated that file and when it was updated. And so with this Excel now being updated again, using the Greytech Power Pack and the link to Excel tool, I can feed that back into my Revit model, updating all of the information. And so you can see that using the Autodesk Construction Cloud and the BIM Collaborate Pro and the Greytech Power Pack and the link to Excel tool, it can help improve our collaborative nature, because it removes the barriers preventing us from sharing information. It helps us track those changes, and it allows us to work more collaboratively as a design team. Okay, I'd like to thank you all very much for your attendance. Hopefully you have found this informative. What I will now do is go to answer any questions that anybody has.
Okay, lovely. So during that presentation, we have had a couple of questions come through, so I will just look to answer those now. One question we had is from one of the delegates is, I've had an issue when loading in another design team model which isn't on the cloud. Is there a reason for this? Now, there can be a number of reasons sometimes as to why we may struggle to upload a model into the cloud. First of all is what type of file is the model. Whilst in ACC there are plenty of file types that can be viewed, Revit, IFC, Inventor files, AutoCAD files. They can be viewed fine, but there are some file types that do not view properly within ACC. For example, a Revit family. If I saved a Revit family into ACC, I would not be able to view it. The same with, I believe, Tekla is another file type. So that could be one issue as to why we're struggling with loading in the model. The other reason can be permissions. If you are trying to upload a model into a folder and you do not have the correct permission level to upload into that folder, that could be another reason as to why you are prevented from doing that. One of the things you can do in ACC is that you can set different permission levels for each folder. So in one folder I could view and download, but I'm not able to upload. So that could be the second reason. The third reason is one thing that you can do, as I mentioned in the presentation, is we can set what we call name and enforcement on a folder, which means if I tried to upload a document into a folder and that document is not named correctly, then ACC will prevent that document from entering that folder. It will push it into a holding area. So those are probably sometimes three of the main reasons as to why that could be preventing the model from working. But the other question that we've had is, can we upgrade Revit versions in ACC at any time? The simple answer is yes. If I started a project in, let's say, Revit 2020, I could upload that file into ACC, no problems whatsoever. The viewer itself within ACC doesn't pick out the different versions, it just detects it as a Revit model. So if you started in 2020, you could finish in 2023. Obviously, there are some things around that if you are collaborating your model, let's say in Revit 2020, if you do upgrade, you need to make sure that everybody else that is collaborating with that model also upgrades. If I suddenly decided to upgrade to Revit 2023 and I'm working on a collaborative model and I push or publish the information back up or sync, then all of a sudden anybody else that's working in 2022 would have to upgrade as well. So if you are upgrading your models, it needs to be confirmed with everybody and accepted by everybody. Otherwise, it can cause collaboration issues. Okay, we've just had another question pop up. Is there a way to limit the number of copies of a model within ACC to limit the amount of space taken up on the servers and cloud? If you're talking about backups, then backups don't really get saved into ACC. When essentially, if you are trying to limit the number of versions that you go through, you don't want to end up at version 150. You would obviously limit or monitor how many times you publish a model into ACC. Every time you sync to Central, that does not update the Revit model in ACC. Only when you publish, it updates it in ACC. If you sync, then what that means is, let's say I'm working on a Revit model and I sync, and then somebody else working in a different office syncs, they will get that update. But if that person in the other office went onto the ACC platform, they would not see the model updated. It's only when we publish the information up that it actually updates in ACC. Now, the interesting thing to note here is you talk about taking up space on on the cloud. When you go down the ACC Docs or ACC Collaborate subscription, there is no limit. The space that you get is unlimited. The maximum file size that you can upload, I've heard two different things from people within Autodesk. One says it's 10 terabyte, one says it's 3 terabyte. Either way, we're still talking a substantial file size that can be uploaded into ACC, and it won't take up any space. This is the one benefit of ACC, is that it is unlimited. You can have as many projects as you want, as big a projects as you want. Within Greytech, within our own ACC environment, we have 150 projects, and it's no issues, no problems whatsoever in uploading, downloading, or the file size. So, obviously, yes, you will want to control how many times you publish a model up. That may be agreed within the, if you're working on a BIM level project, it could be in an agreement within the exchange information requirements or the project implementation plan, or noted within the BIM execution plan. But you don't have to limit yourself if you're worried about server space. Okay. Right. Okay. I believe that is it for the questions. Obviously, unless anybody has anything else that they wish to discuss. Okay. Look, obviously, if you do have any further questions, look, please feel free to either contact myself or somebody, or your account manager in Greytech or our support department, and we will be more than happy to help you with your questions. And obviously, if you're having any problems, we would look to work with you to solve these problems you are experiencing. Okay. But other than that, I'd like to thank everybody for your time today. And again, I hope that you have found this all very informative. Okay. Thank you very much, everybody. Enjoy the rest of your day.